If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't tell all that the Lord has done for me. So I'll keep on singing praise. Waiting for the sunshine. Waiting for the sunshine. Ooh, waiting for the sunshine. Waiting for the sunshine. Ooh, waiting for the sunshine. Waiting for the sunshine.
Welcome to the Room 412 podcast, where we talk about real life issues but through a Christian perspective. My name is AJ Hawkins, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Kiara, John, Chris, Dollars,
What's up?
and Rissa.
Can I just say in the beginning, doesn't he sound like Barbara Joyner from
Yo, it's crazy because I was walking around the house.
AJ Hawkins is Sports Podcast.
You are listening to WYGC.
And he was right in the camera. For sure.
You got.
Sorry, sir. Okay.
Why'd you shut up?
Yeah, but another thing too. Last pod we was talking about a song. What was it? Freedom.
By Eddie James. Yeah.
And Rissa says Spin Wilder. We looked up the lyrics,
And she was accurate.
She was
and he was talking about Spin Wilder.
I don't care what nobody
Spinning
says.
widely.
That's not
And then
even
widely.
That's crazy.
Wilder.
It was a little.
Nah, but yeah, we thought it sounded a little crazy, but she was right. She was right.
She was
So
correct.
I just wanted to,
I still ain't saying that.
I'm not saying it. We don't say it in our
That
show.
don't. Now,
We
My
really
ear
don't.
is sharp.
We repeat a whole different part.
Yeah. I don't know what we say, but we don't say Spin
We don't
Wilder.
say
But
it.
yeah, she was correct.
My ear is sharp.
We apologize.
But that's a song we sing during praise and worship.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's a good segue into our topic. We were talking
good at
about.
this.
Wow.
You're good at
Pretty
this.
good.
Punchline.
Yeah.
Great.
I try.
Friend, you do
Yeah,
good.
so the importance of worship. We're going to talk about the importance of worship tonight in our pod, and y'all got me all crazy. So somebody
Why?
else started.
Because you crazy.
Somebody else started. We're talking about the importance of worship.
So, when we were turning the cameras on, we kind of started talking about who can worship, what is worship. So we can start there. We're all in some form or facet singers, musicians. Some
Did you call me a faucet?
Say a faucet?
Faucet.
He said facet.
Facet.
They call me a faucet.
So we definitely take worship seriously.
That's true.
I've been
So
crying.
we just want to talk about the importance of it in our walk. So yeah, start there.
Well, what I was going to say is, can everybody worship?
Are you asking me?
Well, I mean, you seem to have all the answers.
Back to you, Tom.
Right. No.
Reverse card out there.
I don't know. I think that what is worship? Because that may help define or determine who can worship.
Oh, you got
over here playing patty cake.
Well, I was gonna say, me personally, I think just worship is just a more intimate praise
Yeah.
between you and God.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
my
worship is
Somebody
like
wanna look up the
praise level
definition?
2.
Yeah,
Rissa got it.
Wanna look
definitely.
up the
She gonna get it for us.
I'm gonna get the
Uh-oh.
actual.
Me. All right now.
So
I like that.
So worship is praise level 2.
Praise level 2.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Is it something that, you have to get?
That's when you
take
have
that
the
relationship.
When you
I was gonna say
confess
that.
Him as your Lord. I mean, I can't say it like that because everybody's different. That was.
I'm so sorry. I don't know where that came from.
I feel like worship comes in when you like really you're a believer. I mean, no, I can't say it like that because if you praise, you're still a believer.
No, you're not.
No, that's
So is there a difference between praise and worship?
Yes.
Yes,
What's the
absolutely.
difference?
Everybody
Let's
praise.
start
Let
there.
everything that have breath praise me.
Even the animals.
Even the animals can praise.
Even the rocks.
So
Yes.
Sit there, praise.
So what
Right.
brings it into worship then?
That relationship, like she said.
So because
All right, am I wrong? All right, am I wrong? Is praise for what he's done, and worship is for what he's going to do?
No.
No.
Praise is for who he is.
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That got
Lord.
sticky.
Expound.
To me,
Yeah.
I think that
Expound.
Yeah.
I think that when he says "let everything that has breath praise," in my brain, I think that that's just for who he is.
Yeah.
Every knee.
Shall bow.
So
bow.
I know oftentimes when people, there's a visual thing that comes with praise and worship to a lot of people. So praise also, like, a lot of times reflects with people shouting and all that stuff, and then worship is when you're just like, crying and saying stuff verbally out your mouth. So
But what if it was opposite?
that's what I'm saying. So like
Like
trying to
what if
dissect.
the shouting was the worship and what if the praise was the crying?
So yeah, so like
Oh, I liked it. I found this on.
Wait, say that again?
I said, what if the shouting was the worship and the praise was the crying?
But what you're saying is kind of going hand in hand with this article. So I'm reading. It said, "Praise is the joyful recounting of all God has done for us. It is closely intertwined with thanksgiving as we offer back to God appreciation for His mighty works on our behalf." Now,
So it is that.
Hate it.
that's praise. And it says, "Worship comes from a different place within our spirits. Worship should be reserved for God alone. Worship is the art of losing self in adoration of another."
Believe it or not, your dad said it a long time ago.
Well,
That
That-
right there.
I just, once again, like in our last pod, I think that everything that we do is always predicated on what he's done.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And I think that it's not about that. He is God,
Yeah.
and he's holy,
And God alone.
Yeah.
and God alone.
And God alone.
Chris, you said something. You said knee, right?
Yeah. Every knee shall
So
bow.
it said in the scripture, praise is usually presented as boisterous, joyful, and uninhibited. Sorry. God invites praises of all kinds from His creation. Jesus said that if people don't praise God, even the stones will cry out. When the Bible mentions worship, however, the tone changes. We read verses like, "Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, and come let us worship and bow down." Often, worship is coupled with the act of bowing or kneeling, which shows humility and contrition. I messed that word up.
contrition.
Yeah, somebody want to read that?
You finished?
You got
Yeah.
done?
Contrition?
Yeah, contrition.
Yeah,
As long as you know what it is.
yeah,
I said it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just I think that with worship, I do agree that it does require a level of intimacy.
Yeah.
Praise though, to me, and I'm no scholar. I just feel like that's more so just about who he is.
Yeah.
Worship too, though. Now that I'm thinking
It's
about
giving
it.
back.
Yeah.
We bring
Yeah.
sacrifices of praise.
Praise.
So I know
It
you
gives
said
back.
you said before.
Come on.
No,
So you said before that it's the relationship with him that constitutes worship. So pretty much you were saying if you're not a believer, you can't worship.
No, I'm not saying that.
It's question mark. That's question mark.
Oh, okay. Please don't slander
That's
me on the
question mark.
internet.
No, it's question mark.
Question mark.
why
I
is
ask
that?
questions.
Why is that?
Say it again.
So you think that an unbeliever can worship?
No, well, I don't want to say it's an unbeliever because I feel like you have to be a believer in order to even praise Him.
Yes.
So, but a worship, what I mean when it comes to worship, I feel like it's a different realm. It's level 2.
I just don't feel like you have.
I'm just trying to dissect it.
Yeah.
So we get a clear
To
understanding.
me, worship is a level of intimacy. I do
Yeah.
believe that the angels worship and sing holy, holy, holy. As you talk about heaven, but praise. You let he who has breath, or whatever the thing says, the scripture says, let everything that has breath praise ye the Lord. I feel like that's just a prerequisite. The breath is the prerequisite to give praise.
Right.
Not belief, not being your savior, not any of that. You know what I'm saying?
Anything.
Well, this is not a conversation too. I don't want to say that. But I just think that that's the prerequisite. Is at least just acknowledging who he is. You know what I'm saying? But not in a belief way, but just that's God.
So you're saying you think worship is just acknowledging who He is?
No praise.
Praise.
Praise is
Yes.
just acknowledging.
Just
Yeah.
let everything that has breath.
So what are you saying about
How
worship?
can you worship something you don't know?
No, worship requires intimacy.
Right.
Worship requires a
So
relationship.
That's what a
which is-
relationship
That's what
is.
I'm saying. So if you are a non-believer, how could you worship something you don't know?
Can we scratch the whole non-believer
No,
thing?
that's good. though.
Because when you say that, you have to be a non-believer is just not going to come into church and start bucking. You got to have some sense of who God is to come into the church and
That's
even
where
praise.
you
The fact
praise
that you're
me.
acknowledging him
Right.
is believing of who he
So
is.
especially
Exactly.
non-believers. Now we're all believers now. I feel like,
Christian. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Christian. Because can you be a Christian?
You can still be a Christian and don't know who God is.
It's called lost.
I
Yeah, I'm not wrong
don't know.
with that.
I
No,
don't like that.
Knowing who God is getting to know Him. A lot of Christians think that they know God because you.
You right. You right.
A lot of Christians.
That man don't want no smoke.
I'm just saying, a lot of
Yeah, no, it's
Christians
true.
think they know God.
Yeah.
And they don't really know Him.
Mhm.
So once you get to know Him, then you have a relationship with Him.
No, as far as deeper level, not just acknowledging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Acknowledging is something.
Like a
Oh,
true relationship.
I see that my kids had straight A's on their report card. I reward you. That's acknowledgement.
Because a newborn Christian doesn't necessarily know him on that deeper level. Because
Right.
I just accepted him into my
Right.
life.
Is that
Right.
praise or is
So
that
you're
worship?
establishing your relationship with Him.
Yeah.
And as you get deeper, you can worship Him because you have a relationship and you know Him. You guys established. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, I think when
It's
when
like-
you
it's-
first said it, it was just like a shock thing. I guess maybe
Yeah. Well, that's just how I feel
because
about
the type of no you were talking about is a little.
it. Yeah.
Got you. I guess what I
You
was
just
saying-
don't hop into well, okay, can't say that these
Go ahead.
days.
We're in 2023.
Get ready to say, like, because, well, to me, I don't think you should just hop into a relationship with just intimacy. Like, but hey, we live in
Well,
a
there's
different world.
there's different
Go with God,
well,
Crispy.
I was about to say there's different forms of intimacy,
Make sure you do
but
that zoom in on me.
No, I'm just talking about even just regular intimacy.
No,
Yeah,
but that's the
yeah,
real
yeah.
thing.
Conversation is it. Some people consider conversation and intimacy as an intimate thing as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But you're not just gonna just hop in on intimacy. You want to establish a relationship to take it to another level
No,
because you have to build some trust in order to gain a relationship.
But maybe you don't. I think once again, I like to try to see things and draw parallels in real life, and maybe with what's the word I can use to be, maybe with our I'm trying to use a good word, freedom, so to speak. Bad word. We just did a pod on freedom. I don't want to say freedom. Maybe with the way we do relationships these days, we jump into intimacy. We have no reverence for intimacy. We have no decorum or working towards intimacy in our personal relationships. That reflects our relationship with God. So like you said, there's a lot of people that off the cuff, right, on Tinder, Craigslist, back pages type of thing, come to God and say, hey, I just met you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you require. I don't know the practices, but I want to jump right into worship. And I think that reflects not only to us as Christians, but also to even the worship songs that we sing. Right? I think,
But how can you feel or understand or even have any knowledge of anything if you don't know what it is?
because
You're entitled to praise.
No,
You're entitled-
praise is
what do you-
different.
What do you
Everything
mean?
praises. Everything praises. He's talking about the worship, and you're using it how in the aspect of like you said, in some
Of
form
an
of
intimate relationship,
intimate
right.
relationship. I'm just gonna jump straight into intimacy, and I want to do this, but I don't know you.
Well, let's think about it. We don't have to say what they are, but how many worship songs are not biblical?
Well,
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many church quotes and church slogans and sayings do we have that aren't biblical, that we use as a way to push praise and push worship? So, yes.
yeah, but
you're-
then it's not for real.
Or that are not,
then that's-
It's just-
not
just
directly
for
from the Bible
formality.
verbatim.
Yeah, or they're not, or they don't, no, not just from the Bible verbatim, they don't coincide with God's word. They're anti-biblical.
Clarify.
You get
So
what I'm
is that
saying?
pastors then? Because pastors
anybody
do the
work-
same thing though
Mm.
in the pulpit.
Yeah, but
They quote stuff that's
pastors-
not in the Bible.
pastors, worship
That's abuse of
leaders.
authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, pastors,
Yeah.
worship leaders,
Yeah.
even Christians. We have these sayings that we use as Christians that aren't biblical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I agree with that.
Yeah.
one, so I think that to your point, people's jump to worship or their jump to the intimacy level of their relationship with God, I think can be fabricated.
Right.
Just as an intimate relationship that you have with someone is fabricated. You meet them one time, and now you're ready to. I think that is relevant to
Which
or relative.
right, which can create the wavering faith. That's
Wait,
why
but you said you
move,
meet them one time and then after that you ready to what's the name?
jump into
Yeah, jump into
intimacy.
intimacy.
So can't you tie that in with praise? You praise
That's-
on one time and then after that you ready to go up to the next level of worship.
Yeah,
Can't you tie that in
Yeah.
like that?
right? Because
But you don't really know him.
you don't. But that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So we're saying the same thing,
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, yeah. That's what I said when you were started off. I'm saying now you're going down my lane because
Yeah.
I be feeling. I feel that a lot.
But if you don't have that type of intimacy with him or that type of relationship with him, and you don't know him that well, is it possible to worship?
I say
You
no.
say jumping to worship. If worship is the intimacy and the knowing him factor, wouldn't that mean you can't worship because you don't have that?
Isn't worship
don't
is
think
a
so.
part
worship
of
in spirit and truth. What is spirit?
Mhm.
What is truth? Once you define those things according to Him, not us, not emotion.
Yep.
Once you define what spirit is and what truth is to who you're worshiping, that's the only way you can worship.
Yeah.
Pastor always says things like, if I say, yo, Key, I'm gonna honor you by doing the dishes.
Mhm.
I have to do it a certain way, or she's gonna not
Yep.
accept my help.
Mhm.
So we can't just say that we're worshiping God if He has a clear definition of what worship is. We talked a few pods ago about love languages. God's love language is obedience. You can't say you love God and you're not obedient. If He's requiring you to love Him to show obedience, you can't say you love God without obedience. So
Yeah.
if we're worshiping in spirit and truth, what is spirit? What is truth?
Yep.
What does He take as worship? And that's it. You get what I'm
So
saying?
isn't the word worship, not just God, but isn't the word not worshiping God, but isn't the word worship some form of idolizing a person or something? Like if you take
That's how the
God
word
out of
used
it,
'cause they
Yeah,
say
but they
like adoration.
So,
Yeah.
and
so
stuff,
we
yeah.
are in a world where a lot of people, and this is just going back, a lot of people do worship and idolize things they don't even know about.
Yeah.
That's a good way to, because it's like, all right, so with that worship or idolizing, so as far as praise pretty much is just like, if somebody did something good, like you're pretty much acknowledging the good things they did. Like you could, like you might praise like a basketball player for making a shot, but you don't necessarily worship the ground that basketball player walks on.
That's a very good parallel.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
good parallel, right?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
If you praise a basketball player,
Don't say LeBron either.
no, I'm gonna use that because
Yeah.
that's a real thing.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
This is to me. This is
The
the
praise
difference.
praise sounds so strong, but praises are just another word for acknowledgement.
Praise is the bottom.
Okay.
If you say LeBron makes a shot, LeBron makes the finals. Everybody's praising LeBron.
Clap
Right?
your hands.
The people that worship LeBron, and God doesn't have any losses, but just hear my point. Even in his losses, LeBron is still great.
Right.
That's worship. Even when he gets kicked out the finals,
I get it
they're
now.
worshiping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, worshiping is understanding what, like we talked about before, and celebrating to
but
me
that's
and lifting
knowing.
up. Yes.
That's knowing
So
LeBron.
That
Yeah,
You
comes
know
at
what
back.
he
You
come
looking-
with.
looking at all his
know
stats.
you
Exactly.
exactly.
You know
So
everywhere
even
he been.
in those losses, I could still rock with him, so to speak, because I know he just took a L today, but this man can really play. So how can you worship something you don't know?
No matter
No,
what
I
this
think
music
it's
artist
impossible.
did in his past or
Right.
what he's
Exactly.
going to jail
I don't think
for,
it's possible. I,
still-
think that you have to have a level of intimacy
Yeah.
to worship.
Right.
Now, the more further question is, what does that intimacy require to who we're trying to worship? That's the further
Right.
question.
Well, I think
Right.
too. What you said, you gotta know him. Like, you gotta know,
Yeah.
like with the love language stuff, you have to know what he requires.
And the only way to know him is to read his word.
Yeah, you gotta read his
Right,
word. You gotta
that's
know
it.
what you could, like you said, like I might think I'm doing something good for my wife or something like that, but she might not like it. So, and even though I'm putting the time and effort into doing something, and I think that I'm doing something good for her, she might hate it, and I'm not doing nothing for her. So that's not really, I mean, worship. I mean, I'm not doing nothing for her. Like, you feel me?
Yeah, you're not honoring her.
Not
Right,
honoring.
right,
Yeah, there
right,
you go. Yeah,
right.
so. Now, I could be running around the church 300 times. What do you say? Spin vigorously and all that stuff. And God's just like,
But yeah, he's
That's not moving.
Alright.
man.
it's not moving.
like to everybody else, like, oh, they got the oil, blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
Probably
come
don't.
sit down.
That's
If
what it
there's no
is.
connection,
Yeah.
there has to be a connection, which is why I said everybody cannot worship God.
But also too,
You can praise him
yeah,
because you know about him,
right.
but you don't know him.
You can't
Yeah.
worship him.
You can't
So
worship
would you
him.
put praise and relationship in the same category and covenant? Is there, first of all, what is the difference between relationship and covenant?
Relationship, I feel like it's something that can
'Cause you
be
gotta- you
broken.
gotta
Covenant,
take that-
you can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you make?
It's
would
in
you?
blood.
Would you?
Literally.
Well, like with
Yeah.
a person, you can have
True.
a relationship with a person, but y'all don't
You
have
can-
an agreement like a.
Right. It's breakable. It's breakable standings.
Yeah.
A covenant is unbreakable.
So would you
Right.
put that in the same line as worship and praise?
No. No.
Ain't that
Um,
what communion is, though, right?
No, I think that praise is just honoring. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. Praise is just
Acknowledging.
acknowledging.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
More
If I were to define it,
Yeah.
and we're not theologians, so don't
Yeah.
hold it over our heads.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm Montessori
Don't
educator.
hold-
Praise is the bare minimum. God woke me up this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
God, da 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 da. Even prayer. Think
Giving
think
honor.
about prayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you pray for your food, that's for example, that's praise.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you said earlier, or in the other pod. Pray for my food. Pray for good night's sleep. Thank you for waking me up this morning.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when you're worshiping that deeper, now your prayers go a little further.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than the 3 times, now you praying 5 times a day, and you talking to God, and you're
Yeah.
listening to God.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, I just have a thing with everything being so transactional on this side, and that's an American religion thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Other countries they don't, or they don't necessarily have those issues that we have. We see God through an eye of capitalism, where
True.
it's quid pro quo, like you do for me, I do for you, and that's not how God works.
So pretty much, we're like saying it's a mindset thing.
It's a
No,
relational.
it's
So
a
like,
relational
no, what I'm
thing.
saying. So all right. So what I'm saying is, all right. So like I said before, is what we reference to praise and worship. The actions that we reference them to is like when you're shouting, people say like, "Oh, help them praise them" and stuff like that. And then with worship, we, during praise and worship, it's usually the crying, the lifting of the hands, and all that stuff. Do you think that if somebody's shouting, they could be worshiping God?
I
I
think,
think
you're just
so.
provoking His presence.
Yeah.
You're provoking His presence in praise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then that transitions over from the dance to the lifting of the hands and the
But-
crying out. to
So do you
worship.
think the dance
Yeah.
itself could be a form of worship?
Yeah.
I never seen with my eyes nobody dancing and going crazy in the worship setting. To
But
me,
how
when
would-
I hear
how would
worship,
you know that they're not
That's
worshiping
true.
God if they're shouting? If
true.
it's
That's
the
true.
relationship,
I think you can.
Yeah.
I think you can be praising and worshiping at the same time.
because in the same sentiment when we were talking
With that
about,
relationship, though.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like
It-
that.
it
But
all comes back to
you don't know
relationship.
if by looking at them, somebody could come in. I've never seen you. They come in shouting. How
Well,
do
you
I know
can't-
if they're praising
You
God or
can't.
worshiping
You can't
God?
because
what I'm
that's
saying.
that's
Yeah,
their
we-
determined
Because it's
factor.
it's a
we
mindset
got-
thing.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna,
no.
I
I
agree.
can't tell if another person is has a relationship with God.
I think we
and-
can.
you can.
You know,
That's your
you know
discernment
when
kicks in.
I
someone-
mean, you
that.
can.
Exactly.
That's what discernment is
discern.
there for.
Right
That's what
in
I
the
was gonna say.
service, but you just talking about a random person that comes up. You could
You
tell.
would know.
Well, no,
you,
No, you
well,
can't.
But
What you
also,
mean?
people are known by their fruit, right? So
Right,
if
but
once-
you have
once
fruit
again,
is something that you can see.
right? But fruit is also, and through worship, it's relational, right?
Right.
People can see the fruit of our love.
Right,
They don't have to guess.
Right.
So
Nasty.
it's the same thing. Relax. Relax.
Dude,
The same thing.
Put money in
can-
that love
but,
bank.
But, no, but I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it from an intimate point of
Yeah,
view.
yeah.
The way we talk to each other, the way we approach each other, the way we
Right.
are around each other. We understand the kids. We understand that. but just our interaction with each other. The fruit of our relationship, they can see. So they're not going to guess if I'm being nice to you. He's being nice to her just because he in public.
Right.
No, this is them.
Normal.
You know what I'm saying? This is their fruit. This is who they are. They have a great relationship. They laugh. Da da da. There's certain people that you know when you come into church and whatever they're doing, they bugging out. That has nothing to do with what they're doing on the outside because their fruit don't match up. Like you said, your physical don't match with your spiritual,
Right.
and both have to coincide.
Right.
And you've
So-
seen it. We've seen it firsthand. We've seen randoms come in on the street and just start buck wilding. What you see the officers in the church do? They get
Well,
on posts
I'm not
and start
talking
doing
about book wall. I guess I kind of painted the wrong picture. Like some random like dude off the street just coming in and run around the church, whatever.
Well, who
like
says
that.
he
But,
doesn't
like,
have a relationship with
understand.
God?
But that's what I'm saying. But,
That's
like,
what I say.
it-
You can't.
it could
you
be
can't
within the
tell.
He
whole
could be,
service.
like we
Like,
said
that's what I'm
before,
saying,
he
like,
could be
if the
lost
praise is
and
going.
be drawn back. And that could be his.
But
Or
then
not
I still
even,
feel
like,
like
'cause sometimes-
discernment will kick in with that.
Because
Because
there-
I've also seen people coming up the street and the service in a good way completely shifts.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily someone coming
Very
up the street
true.
and they just bugging
Being
out.
chaotic.
on drugs.
Yeah.
They come in the street and it's in line, and the course of the service is completely changed.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I
Yep.
think that even from a biblical reference, when Jesus was going to different synagogues and miracles was happening, you know, we saw that happen. I just think that we have a different perspective that don't really match up with the Bible in our churches and as Christians.
Well, I really don't think that we should be paying attention to someone else.
Well, you got eyes. I'm just saying you see.
Yeah.
Like you shout all the time. I see you.
Well,
I can see you. I'm
I
not.
am
That's
going to
still
be
paying
aware.
attention.
I'm going to have my eyeballs
there's
open. in
nothing
church,
wrong
huh?
with being aware.
That's what
It's
I'm
just
saying.
different.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we staring
That's
at. I'm
sneaky
just
me.
saying like I can see you. Like if somebody walks into church,
Wide open.
even if everybody's shouting, if somebody who I don't know comes into the church and starts
Of
shouting,
course,
I'm
you
like,
have to be aware now.
not even like, oh, who's this guy?
You do
Like,
notice a
Can you hit?
person,
You
but
just notice them. That's all I'm saying. But I got a question too. So, just to push the conversation further. Do you guys know or remember the first time you praised or worship God and how you felt, or like, do y'all remember?
I remember.
Shouting probably is easier.
I remember my first time shouting in church. I destroyed the church pews
Oh.
completely. I didn't know how to pick up my feet. I used to really. You remember that? I used to destroy pews. You remember on Hudson Street where I used to literally. These are the pews.
Don't be hey.
And I used to get there. I used to and next thing you know, that junk used to just when I came to, but I was really praising God. But that was
You
my
had your
first
eyes
time
closed.
praising.
You ain't know where you was going.
Yeah, but I was in it going.
That's why I hold on to stuff when I shout.
Going
well, I
good.
don't remember the first time with
But
me.
I remember my first time praising. My first time ever having a worship experience was I was over 25, and birthday November 12th, and I was living in Exit 8, and it wasn't even in church where I had my first encounter. That was a crazy thing about it. So life was lifing, and like that saying say on Facebook, God was guiding, and I stuck beside him. And for some reason I got so curious, and I just began to start praying. And I used to just set up my whole atmosphere in my house anyway. I used to turn on this William Augusto on YouTube has some phenomenal worship tracks. No words, just straight worship. Oil
That
lead.
sound dangerous. I don't
Or
know.
don't
that
pray to
sounds
those
crazy.
things, because that's exactly what I did. My curiosity led me to Christ too. So I played the instrumental, and I just remember I always knew that growing up, they said when you start praying, you honor God. Don't just go out the gate asking for stuff. You
Right,
just
yeah.
thank Him for
Yeah.
everything
Thank Him,
that
yeah.
happens.
Yep.
So I messed around and started praising, and the presence fell in the room, and I just remember hearing the instrumentals. I just it felt like I was on this sounds funny, but it felt like I was on I want to say Mars or something. I felt like an astronaut. I felt like I was floating. It wasn't bad, and I just remember getting chilled. And I was speechless. I just kept crying and crying, and I kept crying. It was like God was at that point. I knew God was reading my heart. I still get choked up talking about it because I just love God.
Yeah.
But and like you said, when you worshiping, you hearing and you praying and you get your response. And I remember him responding back. This is the first time he spoke to me too. I remember him responding. He sung to me, and it sounds like Tasha Cobb's set, but it was like he came back and said the kind of blessings that's about to fall on your life, like that. And I was done. I said, okay, you got me. I'm hooked. I'm really a believer. And that was my first time really encountering God.
And you said that was after,
I was
like
after
post
20. I was 26 years old. I was 26. 26.
So
Just
pretty-
last
so
year,
pretty
I'm
recent.
27.
That's what I'm about to say, yeah.
Just last year, I had a real encounter. So all those years, I was just dumping praises,
So you think you know something?
Playing.
You think you know somebody?
dumping like that's where I was
that's
at. I
dope.
thought I
Yeah.
knew something, but I
Yeah.
really had to encounter him for myself. The year 2021 is where God really had to come out and like rescue me from me. I literally was killing myself. Whole time I thought it was like, everything in the way of me. No, I was my own
Yeah.
murderer, bro.
Yeah.
Literally. But
That's
he came
crazy.
and got me. Thank God he ain't leave where he found me. Shout out to Dion. He came and got me for real.
Plugging everybody.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Year 2021 was a sick year. It was a sick year, but he really came and I was allowed to feel his presence.
See, but that's dope because it's like what we were just talking about with the
Stoop kid got off the
relationship.
stoop, boy. I got off the stoop. You about to cry, sissy?
That's funny. Yeah, but talking about the relationship
She
though,
finna
because it's
holler.
like
No, I'm not.
It is about relationship.
knowing you, like for
yeah.
you to say, because you said it was after he was 25. I'm sitting there counting. I'm like, yo, how old is she? Because I know she's younger than me. You said 24 to 25. I'm sitting there trying. I'm like, but I've been knowing her for some years. That's our first worship experience. But it's just like, it's that relationship that you was talking about.
Relationship.
That's crazy. Well,
And
you
it all
talking blew
happened
my
because
mind.
I had to change. I had to shift my perspective.
Yeah.
My change perspective. Okay. Real bad.
Watch it.
It's a parade in my house.
Listen,
This
You
parade.
play too much.
No, but I really do thank God for that, for real.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I really do, because my
Go
friends
ahead.
look at me. And I was just
Testimony
telling my godmother this yesterday. Like, I literally,
godmother
her hair,
does.
she does hair. I was like, yo, my friends look at me like, yo, I really know God is real. And I didn't know how much my friends were non-believers.
Yeah.
Until I shifted my perspective and I allowed God to work in my life for them to be like, yo, I remember when Risk used to be wild. You mean to tell me that if God did that for Risk, he'd do that for me too?
Sure
Just the
will.
other day, I had a breakthrough with two of my hardest friends that was really some non-believers, grew up in church, but traumatic life experience caused them to shift away from Christ. Girl, we had prayer the other night on the phone.
Look at that.
My God.
And my friends asked me to pray for them. I had to get serious. I was praying too. I was praying, bro.
Yes.
But it was. I just think
the man
I
got some.
Dog, can somebody turn the camera around?
No, you don't need a camera on me. I got
Like
a
this
question
dude.
for you
I'm
guys.
about to say,
Yeah.
Oh, you got a question?
Worship.
Mhm.
Worship only defined with slow music and that type of nature.
I knew
No.
you would ask that
No.
because
I mean,
Because that's what church culture did to us.
Well, that's why I asked
You
about
had to
shouting.
slow it
That's why I
down
asked
and make it
about
sound like a
shouting.
galaxy for it to be worship.
That's why I asked about the
This is the
show.
baby face of worship music.
for sure. This man
Shout out to
never
Jay
stops.
Keys, man.
Jay Keys.
I feel like no, to answer your question, no, it don't have to be associated with that. But I also feel like because you calm the music down and you make it slower, it creates a sense of peace and quietness so you can be able to enter to his presence. You know, God is not chaotic. So when you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, everybody
Hits
going
and
crazy,
stuff like that.
you
Yeah.
can't, it's hard to hear him.
That's why what's the
Yeah.
name is so popular. I'm like,
so my
hold
next
up.
question: do you need music to worship?
No.
No,
Nah,
not-
Well,
You said it.
speaking
You
from
got
a,
the crib.
you don't
I
need
know
to,
some
but
people-
speaking from I'm a music girl, so I like to, everything I do, I input music in everything that I do. I don't care if I'm great. When I was in the world, pre-gaming, oh, you better believe I had Gucci Mane playing. I had him playing. But when I had to convert that over to Christ, you know what I mean? I had to bring it back in. I had my drill music going,
So-
makeup go out, man. Listen.
So my question is, why do we need props?
We
We
don't.
don't.
We
It just
don't.
helps some
Church
people.
culture.
It helps some people
I
out.
think so.
It's to draw us in, to focus.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Same thing with praise. Why do we need props for that?
Because if you come into, first of all, now let's step out of the spiritual realm and step into the natural. If I come into, okay, I get it. I know God gonna fall in with the hand clapping, foot stomping, but baby, you can't bring me too far with that. Cause everybody don't clap on the same beat, huh?
Proof, y'all.
Everybody don't clap, and I'm gonna get distracted.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
Yeah.
Especially if you're musically, I feel like stuff like that with musically inclined people, we're easily distracted in church.
Yes,
Yeah.
very. Oh my gosh, very.
I'm gonna come out a little bit.
But
when
back to
Why
the
are we so
worship.
distracted?
You just people
Why
just be
this guy
distracted.
blue?
People just be distracted. But like back to your worship piece about the music. Like when
Yeah.
you read the Bible, you fall into worship reading the
Right.
Bible. Just
Yeah,
like you
you
feel me?
do.
Like,
That's what I wanted to say regarding Jermaine's point is to what F is saying, if you do, because to me worship starts before the service starts.
Bring your with
Worship, you honor God, you worship Him once again through obedience, through living a sanctified life, trying your best to, as you know, we're in our prayer service, they've been talking about practicing not sinning so you can set yourself aside to do His will. That's how you worship. You read in His word. So when you do come, once again, relationship. When you do come, you know, right now, you know, Rissa's talking. She keeps quoting songs because those songs resonate with real outside
Right.
worship experiences
Yeah.
that she had. Every time we're having a conversation, key is singing songs. We just talked about freedom and how freedom is obedience. Well, there's a song called Freedom, but if you're worshiping through obedience through the week, when freedom is played on Sunday, it's
Triggered.
a different response.
Yes.
That's all falls in with that soul care. Like you
Yeah.
said,
Right,
that
exactly.
soul
Soul
care.
care, exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's-
worship doesn't just start at 10 a.m. or whatever time
On
your service starts
Sundays,
on Sunday
yeah.
morning. That's
It's
just
a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Hashtag.
No,
Yeah.
you could worship by, you know, coming into church. Like, you clean the church, that's a form. I feel like that's
Form
a
of worship.
And the
Yeah.
people who do
Exactly.
clean churches are the most
Yeah,
blessed
like-
people.
Yeah.
There's no
Thank you,
music
thank you.
going on, nothing
God
like
bless.
that. You
God
cleaning in the church, setting up for a service, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
So just to answer Jermaine's question, I don't think that worship has anything to do with music. I just think that that's as with anything else. That's just a
I feel like
that's
it
a
do, though.
celebration.
For me, like when I be trying to
I'm
get in that
flesh.
presence,
No, okay. So let me put it another way, right? We talked about this before. Love language, right? I talk to Key, lunch break or whatever. I'm working. I call her. That's a form of worship. That's a form of honor. I do.
well, I be.
But listen, I do different-
Honor her all day.
phone up.
I do different things.
Well, my phone don't ring.
You do different things with your spouse
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
honor them, to worship them, to put them for. Hey, I'm about to stop at McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, da da da. You want something to eat? That's the soul care, as we call it in our church for relationships. That's your the love bank, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
then,
Make them
when it's
deposit.
time for intimacy,
Yep.
right, or worship,
Withdrawal.
Jeez.
no intimacy, and when you make that
Whoa.
withdrawal,
I'm saying, is that a
Put
withdrawal?
the
Yes.
car in
Yeah.
park, bro.
you most people, right, depending on if we
Yeah.
got kids, so
Yeah.
if you got the time,
Yeah.
you turn the music on.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it sets the atmosphere,
Yep.
but only sets the atmosphere for what you've already been doing throughout the rest
Working
of the
on,
week.
been working in it.
So you've been working all week. You've been,
Yeah.
hey,
Want the music.
I'm going. Yeah, you
that's
going
what I
crazy.
thought. Hey,
Nah, I
hey,
ain't talking about that
no, no.
day.
that was somewhere else. I don't know.
But,
Oh my God.
but I think that's a good
Yeah.
parallel. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
We forget, yo, like
Because for me, music is like a gateway drug to worship.
Like
Yeah.
me.
see, I think it's the end.
No, not me. Because
I
I
think
could. Because me personally, when I hear certain songs,
We're talking about worship. So
Yes.
the prerequisite to worship is relationship.
like
Right.
yeah.
so
no,
you can't even get to worship if you haven't done the work
yeah.
to get to that point.
No, I'm just saying.
Because you can play all the pads you want to play. If you ain't done no work throughout the week, that doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
But if you done the work and you trust in God and you're being obedient and da-da-da, and no worshiping and somebody sings Gyra, you feel what they're saying because you've practiced
Yeah.
that all week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
It hit
saying?
different.
Yeah.
It's the syrup
Shout
on
out
the
to
pig.
Maverick
So-
City.
so
that's what I was
song.
To
saying.
me,
Yeah.
worship, the service is the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
And-
because of your relationship with God, when you hear those songs and you play those songs,
Yeah.
they mean so much more to you because
Yeah.
of what you do all week and how your relationship with God
I feel
throughout
it
the week.
That's
Music
like-
hit
That's
different.
what he's
Yeah.
saying.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
But that
like-
remind me of when
Yeah.
AJ used to say, listening to all things.
Oh, no, your
No, that
grace.
all thing. No,
Yeah.
no. I
Oh,
should sing your grace.
Oh,
all
yeah.
things. Listening
All
to all
things.
things.
AJ said he can't listen to that
all
by
things-
himself.
No, it was it was things to work out for me. That joint.
Yeah,
It's
that's all
that's the
things.
same song.
dog.
Yeah.
That song
Yeah.
that hijack you if you ain't careful.
Oh yeah,
What's the verse? What's the
like
verse?
you said, but it's, I'm
Yeah.
not singing it. But that's nah, but like
That
what
boy
you
get
said.
choked.
Yeah,
I'm
but like
thinking
you
sing
said,
it
so
He ready,
like,
give me a key.
but it's like what you said. If
Bring
you
what
read
What-
and you
what
know
keyboard
God for
at?
yourself, like you
He
feel me,
said
the words actually
my
do
keyboard
mean
on my
something.
phone.
Means
Like
something,
they actually
man.
mean
We can
something.
bust out a
So like, you know, like we all well, you played, but we've all sing in praise and worship before. Like I feel like that's the first time I had my worship experience,
Same.
because growing up, like getting all that word in you from like Sunday school and all your life experiences and all that stuff, and then
I
now
agree
like
with you.
watching praise and worship, I feel like I didn't have a worship experience because I was just listening to the music.
Yeah.
But then when I actually got up there and I had to sing the words and I actually was understanding what was going on, fam,
Learning
I'm up
the
to
song,
stuff like that. I'm
yeah.
like, yo,
that order
these
my
are the words that we
steps.
was singing.
Right.
I literally never used to. I used to sing that song
I used
just
to
to
hate that
sing
song.
it. But now that I
That
got
song's
older
hit
and
different.
I
You
started this
understand.
You done
journey,
been through some things.
golly, order by
Another
steps
thing too,
makes me
what
walk
Jermaine was saying
worthy
too,
according
is
to your
I was
will.
out
huh?
one time and somebody was arguing me down about how worship and praise, not so much praise, but music isn't necessary in church. And
Golly.
I think that music has become a big distraction,
Yeah,
but it's become a huge
It has.
distraction.
Yeah, it
It has,
can.
but it has.
Well,
it-
but
listen,
Let
it
him finish.
has, but CCM Church, they play the same chords in every
still
song.
music.
It's-
No, but it's
right.
the same thing, but their messages just changed.
Well,
you know how many people listen to Oceans
Well, you're proving
by
his
Hillsong?
point.
It's still
You're proving his
music.
point. You're
right.
proving his
But
point.
my point with that is we forget how important worship is to God.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Forget the fanciness, forget the chords and the drums and the pads and the smoke machines and the lights. Worship, the angels sing.
I want one.
The angels
A
sing.
lot of people do too.
You understand what I'm saying? It don't got nothing to do with
Yeah.
this is something that we came up as a form of. No, God set up the system so that the angels sing holy, holy, holy all
Yeah.
day. Lucifer, before he was kicked out, he was an angel who sung all day.
Nasty
So
scumbag.
music is
He
important.
tore that man to shreds.
I don't like
Music
that
is
man.
important to the worship experience and to worshiping God. So I don't think that we should get lost in trying to figure out if it's important or not. It's definitely important.
Right,
You,
right.
you can read and find out how important it is. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think sometimes it could be. I don't really want to say a crutch, but kind of because like we've all been to, or some people have been there too. It's like when you're worshiping, the music is playing and stuff like that, but you turn the music off, and then
different.
nobody wants to open their mouth and you know.
And that's the
But-
difference
but
between
that-
So I
CBN
think that's
churches.
what I'm saying. That's
the
relational.
difference between
CBN,
CCM
So,
because
but I-
them
people-
that music will cut out and they be still going.
Yeah, but I know we're not
another-
talking about the music because you were talking about the chords. That's why we said it's still music. You were talking about the chords.
Yeah.
No,
We're talking about when the
I'm talking
chords stop, when there's no chords.
Well, I'm
No,
talking
but
That's
when
what
them
I'm-
chords stop in them churches, and they continue to sing.
Yeah, because it's relational.
Black
Because you know why?
No,
They
let's-
all came there on one accord.
Right.
And for a
They
reason.
all came there for a
They came there
reason.
for a
Whereas us in the black culture, we gotta come. You gotta rev us up.
Right.
I gotta sit down with an attitude and clap my hands in the seat
Well,
before I decide
because
to
it's
give God praise.
Yeah.
what's your
No.
intent when you're going into the service?
Right.
It's not
Because
really
are
to
you
praise
even
and worship
expecting God to move on your behalf in this service? Like when you come in with expectation of God doing whatever it is that you need him to do, that's when you would walk in that church with thanksgiving and praise.
But also,
With-
I think that it also has to do with, like Marissa said, is praising. See, a lot, like I said, a lot of our songs and a lot of our music, it's and this is a bad way to say it, but it doesn't invoke anything because it's not. It's not built on anything, right? We definitely have been singing lyrically deep songs in Black church for a long time.
Yep.
We've been tricked to think that our songs are not as deep, but that's another conversation. But when they come in there, they're singing to God.
Yeah.
It's vertical worship, whereas in Black
Tunnel
church
vision.
it's horizontal, it's tunnel vision. This is all about Jesus, about God, holiness, and whoever He is to us. You get what I'm saying? We sing a lot of things that what He can do for me, and if He ain't done it, I ain't praising.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's a major difference just in cultures. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not all them people on that side too. A lot of us have gone to that side as well too. And I think that that's a big difference in our churches, that we don't honor God. You know what I'm saying? And worship Him and invoke His presence by praising Him, like you said in your prayer. Lord, before I ask you for anything, let me just tell you that you're worthy, you're magnificent, you're a provider, and everything like that. So I think that that's a big thing too.
Yeah. Well, like what you said, I think it's the intent when you come into, because like what
I'm
Pastor
giving
was saying with our
Jermaine
church when he was
chords.
talking about changing the whole Bible event and stuff like that. It's like it's just your intention when you go in there.
Yeah,
It's really
for
because I
sure.
think a lot of times, I mean, since we're talking about culturally with Black church and all that, with praise and worship now, we're worried about like the bops and all that stuff, like because a lot of times I think with praise, and I think that's why we're talking about the relationship. A lot of times with praise, I know oftentimes we see it in church too. It's like, all right, sometimes before when people get up and shout, like you waiting for that certain chord to play or that certain
That 5,
that
5,
certain
1,
beat or
hit
something
that 3,
like
4,
that.
5.
Like, cause I used to do that too.
walk
Like,
down 7, you know what I mean?
I remember one time it was one thing that Steph used to do, and I was like, yo, man, I ain't get up and shout because you ain't do that. Like I was playing, but nah, that's not. But like even like that, sometimes like with the music now it's kind of like cues, cause
Count
like
Dracula
just
music.
like that and stuff like that. So it's,
Oh my goodness.
I don't need no
Cues.
music.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but if you come in there with
No,
the
not
mind,
the
yeah, it's like all right, yeah, like when he played his
you know,
chord, like you feel me?
You know,
Yeah, it's like yeah, you know, that always happens.
I
Like you
scream
jump
every
up.
time. I don't know why it
yeah.
comes out involuntarily.
But it's like if you come in there with the intention to praise and worship
Yeah.
God, it don't matter what's going on. Like you just gonna do it.
Yeah,
Like,
and regardless of, I just think it starts before church.
Yeah. I think if you're really serious about praise and worship, especially if you are part of a music ministry and your ministry is in music, our worship definitely should start before we get there.
Yeah.
How we come in, how we rehearse, how we do all of that. I do find it very frustrating where we as the worship team put so much into setting that atmosphere and doing all those things because of how important it is to us and how giving reverence to God is so important to us. And then, you know, from everyone who experienced it, dealing with that crowd that just want to be entertained. But I've gotten to the point where, and I'm sure a lot of you can attest to that, I don't even care because from my first time of really having an encounter, it was definitely during praise and worship, but it was also during a time where I was in a place of really surrendering. And that is where my relationship with God really grew to another place. So when I started really doing praise and worship, that having that encounter, it healed me to another level of
Changed
nothing
perspective.
I've never felt before. So the importance of worship definitely changed for me. So even to see people just staring at you, not moving, and they don't want to get with it, they just want you to entertain them, I could care less because this thing saved my life. This form of worship, this form of ministry saved my life. So I think, and definitely like you said, it starts before you get to the church.
Yeah.
Because not only is it, you know, just to give God reverence and everything, but it's a form of healing. It's a form of really changing your life too. People think it's just, oh, you just giving all this stuff to God. Nah, he's giving to me too.
Right.
Like it's a true relationship. It's a true exchange.
Yeah.
And you know, people don't understand.
And people miss that.
People don't understand, and I think to that point is we have to, as worship members, we have to understand that it doesn't matter what we're getting back from the people. And I think that's another thing that we miss too.
Yeah.
If the crowd is giving us,
Could care less.
if the crowd is giving us
Could care
bad
less.
energy, we give it back, or we don't
Nope.
go as over the
Yeah, I was
top.
gonna speak
And
Nope.
then
on
that's
that.
where the praise and worship use their authority to sit there and go off on the people.
Right.
Sometimes those people sitting in the pews really don't know how to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not for you to
and
bash
it's
them,
that
it's for you
too.
to
Exactly.
But
bring
that's
them
the-
along and
But
try to
you're-
help them.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
the job as the praise and worship
Leader.
leaders.
Exactly.
Right.
If
For
everybody
sure.
up there, from the ministers of music, you know, the drummers, the praise and worship leaders, if they have that genuine and sincere worship and it shows off, it becomes contagious.
Right.
Like, but everybody has to be on one accord, and that's the importance of
Absolutely.
people. I think the praise and worship
Absolutely.
team don't know the importance that they are. It could be, it
And
could
it's
be
the whole team.
5 people
what
up there,
Singing about
and,
your life has
and you
to
have to know.
match
You have to
Exactly.
that too.
And when
but
you
that's what
when
work.
you're
That's
out
worship.
of the will of God, it shows in your gift. It
shows.
shows in what you
It
do.
shows.
That's a part of worship.
It shows.
But like I said, when if
Drop
it's
the
5 people up
Nah,
there and
talk.
4 people are on that, but that one person
Telling
is
you.
sticking out like a sore thumb, you
Telling
can
you.
mess it up for everybody.
Yeah.
To mess it up for
And you can
everybody.
you can be sincere.
Yeah.
Everybody behind you can be sincere. But if that person that is doing the responsibility,
Yeah.
that blood is on his hands.
and especially
and he can't get it off
Dog,
the
it
ground.
could be the drummer.
No.
Right.
It could be
Yeah.
the drummer.
especially in a time where, and you just have to be cognizant, you have to be cerebral. We live in an Instagram age.
Yeah.
We live in going live. We live in YouTube. Fam, if and I understand that this has to do with the production side of it, but you still have to be cognizant of it because you're still leading people to Christ.
Absolutely.
So if you're up there and you're worshiping and you're not living a certain life or you're not giving what you have to give on fam, someone's going to turn that live off.
Right.
Someone's going to, because you know the cameras is on.
Right.
You know everything that
Right.
we've prayed and we've talked and we've rehearsed and we've sung about, all to give the best product so that someone can see excellence in our ministry and want to come to Christ. So if you're not doing your part, even if it comes from energy, if it comes from your physical matching your spiritual, so that when you get up there and you're singing a song, that should reflect your obedience and your what'd you say, your during the week,
Your soul care.
your soul care. It's gonna be reflective on camera,
Absolutely.
and then people are gonna, you know what I'm saying. So I think that, you know, we don't want to do anything that's gonna be a stumbling block
Yep.
or hinder the ministry that
What's
you're a
that
part
phrase you said before? I don't know. It was pause back. You said you're the only Christ that people see, or something like that.
of. Sometimes the only Bible people will read is you.
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
That's big.
And like Rissa said, you are the light to them. You know what I'm saying? The reason why we started this podcast, 2412, that scripture talks about being an example to our generation. So through worship, whether it be on stage or not on stage, we just have to make sure that we are doing it properly
Yeah.
and being good stewards over the gift that we have.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
anybody else remember the first time they praised worship? When the first time you shouted, Chris?
Chris, though, we're gonna.
I mean, you don't gotta shout.
Nah, Chris,
everybody
silence him, Chris. Silence him. Let him know how God work with you at home, boy.
Chris walked right out the church and praised him out on the
He sure will, child.
on
I
the
did.
street.
No,
We
I
doing jumping jacks on the front porch.
That man be running.
I remember one time. I think
I'm clipping
I
this
think
up.
I think they all know it, but I think one time, remember I was talking about how it get heavy. So I was singing with Kurjama, and we was at St. Matthew's, and I had just joined the choir probably like a year ago or something like that. But then like I started really getting into you know the Bible more, and I started to get to know God more and stuff. And they had the song we sing. They had the song we sing called "Great Change," and
That's what he was doing to
and-
you.
Lord Jesus.
and I know it was the repetitiveness for me. And he kept and the song kept saying, "And I'll never, no, never," but it's saying,
Never be the same.
"Never be the same again." What a great change that's come over me. And I was like, boy. And then I remember I was singing, and then tears just started. I started crying, and I started getting the frog in my throat. singing.
Yeah.
So now,
Turtle, dang.
God said that was crazy.
I had to go to the bathroom, dog.
I was like,
You gotta go handle that.
No, but then you start walking.
and then like,
That was Chris.
I started getting that frog in
It
my
be like
throat.
that, man.
I know what you
And
mean.
then-
Just get tight.
I was like,
Especially as a man, you be up there trying to look hard.
And then I was going, and I was singing, and then she was directing the choir and everything, and then all of a sudden I just said, I just walked.
Mid song,
I walked around the
Still
whole church.
singing
This was St.
and
Matthew's.
walked.
mid song.
Mid-song. We was like, no, never.
And weren't you like in the middle? Of
No,
something? And just start walking.
As it's going, after like 2 minutes of that, just singing that, I just started tears.
I
And
wish
then
I
I just
was there.
started, and I just started walking. And as I'm walking, I'm like, and now,
Yo, I'm telling you,
on
Set him like,
yo, that man worship is something, yo. 'Cause we gotta keep it like together. Like,
But the way the song ends, it goes, and I'll never be the same again.
and you back there like this.
No, but when the song ended, this is where the funny part comes in. By the time the song ended, I had already walked the whole church, and when I got back in my position, we was already and I'll never be the same.
And you came
I
back
just,
and said it
I just
again?
walked back right into place.
That was for you. That was a moment for you.
Yeah, you extra, yo.
That was
It was
for
like,
you.
and then the song was just saying, "I
Speaking
seen
to you.
man." How we go again? We haven't seen it in so long.
That's a good song, though.
I forgot. I've seen many awesome,
Something. I don't remember, babe.
mighty works, but none quite as awesome.
Off the Proclamation album, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot this because one of my favorite songs. But yeah, when we sing that, that's when I was like, "Yo, this junk is real." For
But
real,
see
for real,
how
for real.
you had that experience after you really were taking time
Yeah.
with God and you were really reading.
And
That's
I
why I
was
said
like,
that exchange of a relationship,
Yeah.
it makes the difference
Yeah.
every time,
Yeah.
every single time.
We
So
all
now I'm like a junkie, and I be chasing that first high.
Yeah. Then he take off. Now you don't.
Yeah,
you
now
don't want.
he be downstairs.
Yeah,
You don't want that.
downstairs, working on the
Let
pipes.
me check outside
need
for the
some water?
eighth time.
I be downstairs working on the furnace, making sure the church
Yeah,
is still
let's
lit.
get ugly right quick.
We
I have
we
no
all was
problem.
at mine when we was in Dobbs Ferry and we had to sing that night.
Yeah.
And TC
Oh,
Clay
TC
was
Clay,
there.
Oh yeah.
Kiara did tell us about
TC
Kiara
Clay,
told us about that.
he sung something. I forgot what he was singing. And
Rest in peace.
yeah, rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Musical
Definitely.
genius.
Oh my
He
goodness.
he was singing and he's like, "Yo, I don't want this to be about me." So he made him turn all the lights off.
That
And when
was
he turned all the lights off, and if you know how his set was, it was real, like synth,
Yeah.
robotic and using the different
Sounds.
sounds and things like that.
Give a
So he
little
made
Prince.
it sound real big
Yeah.
and real
yeah.
theatrical. And he was singing, and like I remember, he told everybody to close their eyes. They're gonna turn the lights off, and did that.
And what you do?
I closed my eyes, but like Riss, it felt like whatever he was singing, I just saw
Yeah.
like green pastures, like and just like
Yeah.
a piece like that. And
You was in that silo. That's what you
yeah, and he said that, and I just kept
You laugh like an
going
auntie.
over.
He
Like I
went
play
down.
spades.
You went crazy on him, yo.
Go ahead.
No, but
Before I knew it, I was bent all the way over.
He
and I
was.
was balling.
He
I
was.
think, and I was
Somebody
standing
take
next
me
to
home, bro.
I remember that
dear.
because I was standing next to you,
You was.
and I was
Yeah.
ready to crack a joke with him.
He
But
was
then
serious.
I was like, look
Yeah.
at in my head. I was like, look at this nigga. I was like,
That's the thing about
But then
y'all
I-
too, yo.
but then
That's
I-
how I know y'all really tapped in, cause I talk.
Yeah.
And I'm always joking with y'all. They would ignore me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Stone
like,
face
he
ignore
was,
me.
Like he was,
I'm like,
yeah,
yo, Chris, and he be sitting there.
Just
I'm
Oh, he
worshiping.
worship. And John, same thing. He in worship. All right.
Let me get there.
If I put these in my pocket, save them later.
all right, let
let
me
me
be
go sit
serious. Let me
down.
tap into.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yo. I
Yeah,
remember
that was such
And
and I
an
had
encounter. Oh
one
my
more
God.
quick one, and this is
You
when
be worshiping.
This is not.
Weak in his knees, boy.
The Lord is really working on him.
But,
y'all.
Tighten up,
He's
boy.
working
There was
on him.
another time we had went to Travis Green concert at the
Oh,
cathedral.
yeah.
Oh.
But then I know Stefan and them, they was like about to get ready to be on some like laughing and something like that. And like Rissa, she was trying to talk to me or say something to me, and
He
I was just
definitely,
like,
he definitely.
I remember,
moved-
yeah.
He definitely moved me.
and I was, and I wasn't like trying to boof her, but I was just so like, like
You know, like
I
that.
was just
That.
there.
But back to Intention, I remember that
Tears.
album because
Yeah.
Chris really, I forgot what album it was, but Chris loved that
Intentional.
album.
Yeah.
And he
The
came
intention-
there,
Yeah.
no pun intended, intentionally ready to have that
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I remember him
Yeah.
talking about that specific album.
Yeah.
And I know they was
that
trying
album
to
was really wordy. It was real worshipy.
Oh yeah.
all his,
Yeah.
that's like one of my
Yeah, I
top
love
people.
that, yeah.
Ty Galbert.
Like, what's
I love
his
it.
Ty
name?
Galbert's another one. That encounter. You ever seen
Galbert?
him live?
Yeah.
It's a different story live. Man, we gotta
I
talk
didn't make
about
it.
that.
I wanted to go
I
really
didn't want
bad.
to
I
talk
wanna
about
go
that. I don't
so
know who I
bad.
was, bro.
Yeah, you going crazy?
You know what?
Ah, man.
I am not home.
Anything Chandler Moore? Anything Chandler Moore sing?
yeah.
Oh my God, nigga, Chandler Burger think about taking out a light bulb.
Dog.
Laid out. Laid out.
I be in my work truck balling, dog.
Yeah.
That worship is
Chandler
crazy.
is busy.
Balling in my work
He
truck.
gets sturdy. He
Yeah,
do.
hymns too. For me, it's hymns, yo. I read that hymn
Yeah.
book and start weeping. That hymn be wet after I'm done.
Oh, the blood.
I had a
No, not one. Jesus knows all of our trouble.
friend like the lonely. Jesus.
Golly.
It wasn't my first. I can't really remember my first. I had many. situations with God.
Lord.
But one specifically that really stood out to me, and it happened recently, and this one goes down in the books for me. This was a very like really encounter, like, yeah. So I was in the bed sleeping, and it's gonna sound creepy, but it's not creepy at all. And I was in the bed sleeping, and where we were staying at, we didn't have a TV yet. We just moved in, and we didn't have a TV. And so I was sleeping, and it was late, and I felt like a brush of... Shut up. I felt like...
skirts.
That's a nasty. Come on. No. It's not that. Listen to the story. Listen to the story. It's not that. So I felt like a brush on my leg, but then I also felt something grabbed my hand, but held my hand where it was firmly, like it was real firm. It didn't hurt or anything like that. It was very firm. I wasn't frightened. I wasn't scared or anything like that. It was just a very firm hand shake, whatever you want to call it.
Grip.
Yeah,
So
grip.
I woke up, hand grip, right. So I woke up.
What you doing, Lord?
No. I woke up and I asked my husband, I said, did you touch me while I was asleep? You know, because you know. Shut up. Oh my God. Shut up.
Why is she
So,
crazy?
because, you know, sometimes husbands can do that to get, you know, for that intimacy moment. So he was like, well, I did rub your leg. So I was like, that was a firm hand, like a firm hand grip. Like I wanted to know what it was. It was like a hand grip of reassurance. That's what it felt like to me. So, you know, that thing stuck with me. And then so my parents came over, and I was explaining to my dad and my mom and dad what happened, and given and what the situation. And my mom, I'm explaining it to my mom, and I'm choking up to my mom. And when my mom, as I'm speaking to my mom and I'm telling my mom what's going on, the Lord spoke to me. And I'm like, what is this hand? I'm like, what is it? I can't figure out what was this hand grip, God.
Yeah.
And he was like, that was me holding your hand to reassure you that I got you. And all things that I got you. When I say I was in that kitchen, I fell down to the floor. I did the ugly cry. I immediately worshipped in the kitchen, like, God, I thank you. Like, oh my gosh, like you came down to touch me and hold my hand. That's a privilege to me.
Yeah.
To hold my hand, to let me know that you got me.
Yeah.
No matter what. Man, I tell you, I ain't gonna cut the floor.
I know you do it right now.
Jesus. That was one of many encounters that I had. You know, shut up.
Oh my God.
Y'all are stupid. But that was one of many encounters that I had with God. It's just that one just stuck out to me, and it carries in my heart, like, to this day. It was like one of the most powerful encounters that I had.
I called John. Remember I called you about that?
Yeah.
I had something like that, but it
You
was.
be having these encounters, huh?
Bruh, I don't know, man.
And I don't know why he's shaking the dust off. I don't know why all the dust ain't off of him yet. He's proving himself to him.
Yeah.
Right.
He keeps showing up on his behalf, and you still want to tussle. You ain't gonna win.
No, it was that one time. It was a time I had called Rissa because she had went to work and she had took Ryan with her, and I woke up and I just remembered the dream that I had, but I woke up in tears, and I woke up like defensive, like I was ready to swing, like because what had
Help him, Lord.
what had happened, what had happened, I was like, yo, it wasn't my fault.
Right.
And so, I first person I called Pastor, yo. I need your help because I wake up crying, and I don't do that. I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
Huh?
You go, Pastor?
He did, yeah. We was there that day when you called.
Yeah. But that's when he had directed me to John.
You think
because
you know a
John was
person.
good with dreams and stuff, and he had told me what it was, and I was just like, yo, that is crazy. And I was like, I just didn't like the way it felt, because I felt like it's like when you could get caught lacking, nigga snuff you or something like that.
Yeah.
I felt like it was
Felt
something like
vulnerable.
yeah, it was something
that
like
was
that.
that.
But I was also on my defense. Like I woke up mad, but I was crying though, and I was just like, that was mind blowing. That encounter. So that, and then brings me back to what you had just said, and I was just like, yo, you actually were like talking to me in my sleep, but to the point where I couldn't even handle what you were saying. But still, it was to the point where like I never woke up like that. I either wake up mad because I had to wake up, or I woke up
You
because
fell off the bed.
I be falling off
He
the
be
bed.
falling- he be
I
falling
ain't
the
gonna
bed,
hold you.
John.
I be falling off
Lord
the bed.
Jesus.
I'm that guy. I be falling off the
Too old for
bed.
that.
Too old for that.
I
And
am.
he
the-
still-
Who is picking you up?
His because just where I be. Nah, he picked
No, got me again.
It is that thing, child. When he fall off that bed,
Because I'm always
I
having
done
them
did it
dreams.
again.
Because I don't know why I had this thing where I like sleeping on the
Very
border.
edge.
every
yes, like, I
time
like
he
border
don't,
bed
right there.
he
But then I
don't
forget when I
learn.
turn over. That I
Ain't got no more bed.
I end up on that floor. I
Going
remember
down.
one night I fell. I just stayed there all night.
Woke up, I see no person. Like,
We're good.
I'm okay.
One night I fell. I just stayed there. I was like, I don't feel like getting up. I just went back to sleep. I was on the floor.
That would stress me.
Yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah.
I don't really remember a worship experience because I'll be weak all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like that. I'm the type of person. Yo, literally, yo, when people be like, yo, he woke you up this morning, I'm just like, you feel me? I'm not. But like,
Here we go again.
that's yo, I'm like, no.
no, but
That's me though. That's
Every
me.
time.
Yo, that wake
It
up this
be
morning,
like
like
that.
it's because
Yo,
Then they turn around and hit you
Yo.
with a started you on your way.
fam, nah, it started me on my way. All right.
he didn't have
Nah,
to
it
do it,
still
but
woke
he
you
did.
up.
Clothes on your back.
But nah, I've been in a lot of situations like
Jeez.
near death situations.
Right.
Like you feel me?
Too
So
many.
that to wake you up
Yeah.
is
Too
like
many.
It's different.
it hits to me.
It different
Yeah.
every time.
Like I remember the first time I shouted, like the praise part. Like speaking about near death experiences, that was my first time being at gunpoint. Like you feel me? You remember when I had a shotgun in my head, like you feel me? Like and I walked away from that. So it's like so when I came to church that Sunday, like that was my first praise. Like you know the praise went up. I remember I was in the choir. I had my choir robe on. And you feel me? That praise started going up. Like I just started thinking about that. Started crying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fam, I ain't supposed
Oh,
to be
yeah.
here. I had the ugly praise, that corkscrew
But
praise
you
they used
ain't-
to have. Like,
boy.
You
yeah,
ain't
like,
say
boy.
what you told them though. When-
dog, I'm done. So,
Blow
I
that
not
head.
even gonna do that. Yeah. All right. So this what happened, right?
You gotta tell it because it's so AJ.
No,
It's
no,
so
we don't have to
AJ.
go into it. We
It's
don't
brief.
have to.
So I was walking down the street. All right. I got robbed at
Can you
gunpoint.
not chill?
What?
I'm putting that car apart right now.
I was walking down Bassett, right? You feel me? That's when I went to Alberta. So I was
They
going to
always
school.
got shotguns
I was
at
going to
that
school.
light.
Yeah. Nah. So it's funny because.
Where are they getting
My
it?
friend wait, what like matter of fact, it was we right over here. I was walking down Bassett and it's funny because my dad, he's like, yo, you're not supposed to be walking down there at that time of night. I was going to a game. I think it was a volleyball game. One of my friends was playing volleyball at school. And these dudes rolled up like on a bike. One dude was on the handlebars, so he got up. Dude took the shotgun out of his pants leg. And the first thing I said,
Not funny.
This is not.
no, nah, because I know he was. The first thing I said was, I was like, "Oh, where you get that from?" Like,
What?
like,
That's crazy.
I gotta take my glasses. They fogging
Like-
up. Why you? It was like.
because that's me. Like, I'm
Stay
just
back.
like,
AJ, yo.
Oh, where you get that from? My pocket. But
yeah, like,
on dinner table off his pocket.
nah, but this
Got the
me.
Elmer Fudd gun. It was like, yo,
Yeah,
you
like, you
actually
feel me?
let me give it up.
Why did you stand there and let him pull that out?
Exactly.
It was weird, nah, because I'm walking and they cut me off, like, you feel
I
me?
understand.
And it
I
was
understand.
weird, like,
You
it
don't
took,
know
like,
what
I
to
was
do.
like, what? And then, like, so that's how I am. I just,
Yeah.
whatever comes in my head comes in my mouth. And then I think it threw him off guard. He was like,
This is weird
he was like, yeah.
Right there.
Just said run
I'm the man with the
Yeah.
gun. You asking me questions.
He's like,
Really?
run your pockets or whatever.
It was
And
a
then
double
you feel me?
barrel?
It was dog. It was dark.
Shotguns are double barrel.
I just know it was big, yeah. So he, what's his face? Yeah. So like, I gave my wallet. and my phone.
The Lord.
And then, yeah. cars was going by, so they end up going. You feel me? They got out of Dodge. They got my phone in my wallet.
That was God.
Yeah, and I went to school. I called my pops, and then it's funny because the next day, I guess nothing. So I got to school. All my money for some reason wasn't in my wallet. It was all in my pocket.
That was God.
Yeah, so like I had all my money. I didn't have my phone. They cut it off, and then the funny thing about it is like your license and everything is in your wallet. And I guess when they seen that there was no money in the wallet, they just threw it somewhere. Funny thing is, my dad the next day, one of his friends, because me and my dad got the same name. One of his friends was like, "Yo, like you got a son by blah blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah, that's my son." So they threw the wallet on my dad's friend's porch. So pretty much, I got my wallet back,
That's God.
my ID and everything back. I had my money.
God.
That's
And I just
God.
didn't have a phone, which I just
It was just that
I reported it lost.
I
and
heard
just
about
got
that.
one, yeah.
Those
Yeah.
shotguns over
Yeah.
there.
Dog.
I know somebody who had a light and got put the double barrel in the window and like boy was shook.
Like,
Yeah.
Roll down the window. Why would you roll down your window? They put it in
That's
there like
crazy.
that. So
But
that's
nah, yeah,
thank
like-
God for that though. For real, for on the serious
Yeah.
note. Thank God for that.
All right, well, thank you for coming in the room with us this episode, and like and subscribe to everything. We got a
Please, y'all,
TikTok,
please.
Instagram.
we got an Instagram,
Everything.
we got a Facebook,
Run that up.
Just search
YouTube.
Room
Huh?
412.
What
everywhere.
happened?
No, we ain't got the threads yet.
Oh,
No.
nah, we don't got no Twitter or threads. We
Well,
don't
by
got
the time
that.
you see this check, we
Yeah,
might
yeah,
have-
we
Run it up.
yeah.
Run it up.
Yeah,
Follow us.
Get
Just
to
find it.
follow
Like us.
everything. I see y'all on TikTok looking at our stuff, but not following the page.
Can you just follow, please?
Please just follow. Please.
Follow.
But yeah, we'll see you again. Thank you.
You're-
Bye-bye.
Bless
Bye,
up.
y'all.
God bless.